This is the Ringer Gambling Show presented by FanDuel, and the NFL is officially back. So if you're going to be in it with FanDuel. They've got the goods, futures, live betting, SGPs, your way bets, all of it. The app's clean, it's fast, and yeah, when you win, you get paid instantly, which is nice because Sunday patience doesn't exist. So get your bets in, build something bold, and make every game feel bigger. Download the FanDuel app or head to FanDuel.com/gamblers to get started. The Ringer is committed to responsible gaming. Please visit rg-help.com to learn more about the resources and helplines available and listen to the end of the episode for additional details. Must be 21 plus and present in select states or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Paid endorsement.
All right, guys, let's get to some of the big games coming up over the weekend and a rematch from last year's playoffs. The only team that actually gave the Eagles somewhat of a battle was the Rams, and they are plus 3.5 on the road. So the Eagles 3.5-point favorites. The total is 44.5. I think the big question coming into the season was Stafford's health. And Raheem, through the first couple of weeks, Stafford's looked awesome. He's looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. What do you like in this matchup?
Okay, so I'm right on market once again with this game. I'm at Eagles -4, but I do like the Rams in this game. And actually, my motto actually likes the under. My motto actually has this at about 43 to be exact. So it leans towards the under. Let's look at this Philadelphia Eagles team. And I mentioned this on Monday's episode of the Ringer Gambling Show. I think this Eagles team is on fraud watch. I mean, you're talking about a team who has literally completed 3 passes over 10 yards in both games. You're talking about a team that's 20th in pressure rate. We know how many guys they lost on that defense. They're 20th in pressure rate, 17% pressure rate. They have just 2 sacks on the season. So that defensive line isn't really the same. And you look at this Eagles offense, and I'm just not seeing an explosive offense. I'm just seeing a creative offense. I feel like this is the second coming of Brian Johnson and Kevin Patullo. And I just feel like they're kind of getting by on smoke and mirrors. You look at week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys were getting ready to score. You get a fumble, a red zone turnover in the second half of a game, which allows them to pretty much win the game. You look at last week, Travis Kelce is getting ready to score. He drops the ball, leads to an interception. The Eagles run out of the clock. So it just feels like this Eagles team is the brand new version of the Kansas City Chiefs from last year, where they're winning these 1-score games based on, fluke plays or, just a play here and there, and then they're able to run out of the clock. So you look at the Eagles team, they had the fewest amount of plays of 15 more yards on offense. So I'm just not seeing it with this Eagles team. I think this Rams defense is by far the best defense that they've played all year, and it's the best offense. So I would grab the plus 3.5 with the Rams, and I would lean towards the under. I'm not going to play the under because I do think if the Rams get up a score or two, or the Eagles get up a score or two, one of these two teams is just going to throw their way back into the game. But I do like the Rams at plus 3.5.
Listen, you can lock this in for Ringer 107. Signed, sealed, delivered. I'm yours. I love the Rams. I love the Rams getting 3.5 in this spot. First of all, it's a massive revenge game for what happened in the postseason. The Rams were right there with the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles smoked everybody along the way going to a Super Bowl. Not the Rams. The Rams were driving with a chance to win the game inside the 10-yard line. Jalen Hurts did absolutely nothing in the game if you go back to what we saw in January. And let's just look at the market for this particular game. Opened at 4.5, immediately is now down to 3.5. Raheem, you hit the narrative on Philadelphia. I'm going to take it the other way and look at the pro-Ram argument and perspective. This is a team that is tremendous defensively. They have a ton of guys that get after the quarterback. There were a lot of questions about what Matthew Stafford would look like after he's getting the epidural in the summertime. Matthew Stafford looks A-okay to me. I know he's up there in age, but when he has time to throw, Nakua, Devontae Adams, no problem slinging a football. And Sean McVay, in these sort of situations, has been tremendous. A lot of people over the years in handicapping NFL football look at West Coast teams coming to the East Coast. And it's like, oh, West Coast team coming to the East Coast. Can't bet the West Coast team. Not when Sean McVay's the coach. They have been A-okay in these particular spots. I love them at 3.5. I think they're going to win the game. I think they're going to make a monstrous statement. I love this Rams team, Brian Barrett. So when we do the Ringer 107, you're going to have to be our consigliere this week. You know, we got a tough standard here to meet. We went 3-2. We should have went 4-1. Don't get me started on the Texans and what happened on that fourth down play. What an absolute disgrace. Rams, Raheem likes it. I love it. That's going to be a 107 play. Love it.
Yeah, I like it too, JJ. I even liked them on the money line at plus 154. So I think Sean McVay is the best coach of the NFL. The one question that you had about him was his time management and some of the like decision-making stuff. And that got better last year. Now they did take a guy from Vrabel's staff and Stretch, who's now back with the Patriots. He's kind of their analytical guy, but he's been much better with that. And their offense has looked really good. I mean, Puka may be the best receiver so far this season. He's 221 yards. And then here's the question about the Eagles defense before we even get to the offense is the corner opposite Quinyon Mitchell. That's been a big question for them early on this season. And you got Devontae Adams. Even if he's 80% of the guy that he was prior, he's already got 157 yards this season. Hasn't been super efficient, but still he's at nearly 79 yards per game. So I love that in terms of the Rams have multiple receivers that can beat you. And then on the flip side, you mentioned the defense, JJ. They're 4th in pass rush win rate, and they're 5th in run stop win rate. Guys, the Eagles, if you look at their offense, on third down, in terms of their pass success rate, they are 25th in the NFL. They're right in front of the Jets in pass success rate on third down. So it's tough to get them in those situations, but if you get them in obvious passing situations, it's really tough for them to beat you. The Eagles' offense has just looked one-dimensional. 35 yards in 2 games for A.J. Brown. I think they're really missing Kellen Moore right now. When you talk about that offense, I think the Rams are a legit contender. So I love that plus 154 on the money line, and I would play the Stafford overs on passing yards because I think he's going to have a really big day. And I love the point about the revenge too, JJ, because this is a team that clearly, I mean, I'm just upset that the Chiefs made the Super Bowl because maybe the Ravens or the Bills could have given them a competition. We could have seen something similar to that Rams game. So I'm with you guys. I love the Rams in this spot.
One thing I want to mention, it's so interesting. Jalen Hurts, he took 7 sacks in that postseason game. He was 15 of 20 for 128 yards against the Rams in the postseason. So, if they can get him in these, passing situations, it's pretty tough for the Eagles. A lot of Eagles fans will say Jalen Hurts is probably the black Troy Aikman in that he doesn't need to do much because he has a solid running game. But I would be remiss to mention this. The Rams, they did suffer a major injury this week. You look at their key cornerback, Akello Witherspoon. He broke his clavicle in week 2. So it is possible we could probably see one of the best games from Jalen Hurts, if he's getting the ball out there to Devonta Smith or A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown hasn't been A.J. Brown this season, but that is, those are matchups that I want to keep my eye on because, we can make the case for the Rams, and I can like the Rams, but I think we would be doing a disservice to our listeners and our followers if we don't mention the other side. And, that is something that concerns me. And another thing that concerns me is that the Rams this year in the red zone, they're only 55%. Last week,
finish drives.
Yeah,
Excellent
last
point.
week against the Titans, they were just 3 of 6 in the red zone. And Philadelphia, they're 100% in the red zone because that push is not stoppable. So that's something I do want to mention, even though I do like the Rams.
Yeah, especially when you're lined up on the other side of scrimmage, Raheem. It's definitely impossible when that's the case. All right, let's get to it's annoying, but anyway, let's get to the Cardinals and the Niners. The Niners right now 2.5-point favorites. Over under is 45.5. Mac Jones is back. The 2021 version of Mac Jones. Kyle Shanahan finally got his wish. All those years ago, he traded all those picks to get Mac, not Trey Lance, and then they decided on Trey Lance. Raheem, what do you like in this game? Because this is a tough one to pick.
I don't think it's that tough.
Whoa.
So you look at the Arizona Cardinals, they're 2-0, but they've played the Panthers and the Saints, and they have a negative net success rate. You look at the Panthers, they're 14th in EPA per play, 24th in offensive success rate, and they've really struggled to run the ball. 30th in rushing success rate, 22nd in rushing, 30th in rushing success rate, 22nd in rushing EPA per play. So I'm I'm not really liking what I'm seeing from this Cardinals team this year. And I mean, they were a team that I was buying on, but you should have more dominant wins against the competition that they face. And the biggest thing coming into this matchup is that all of their corners are in the hospital. Max Melton, Garrett Wilson, Garrett Williams, Will Johnson, and then you've already had injuries to Sean Murphy Bunting. So they were just in a tough spot coming into this game, and I think the Shanahan system really it elevates Mac Jones. I don't expect him to be Brock Purdy. I don't expect him to be Jimmy Garoppolo. But as we saw last week, even without George Kittle, there's a high baseline. So I personally want to lay the 2.5 with the San Francisco 49ers. It was 1.5. The look ahead line was -3.5. If both of these teams were healthy, my model actually has this San Francisco -7. So at 2.5, I kind of have to take this.
Yeah, listen, to me, it's Niners or pass. And it sounds crazy because we're talking about Mac Jones at quarterback. But to your point, Raheem, on Arizona, Arizona's 2-0. Arizona is the most unimpressive 2-0 that you're ever going to find. And maybe I sound salty and maybe I sound bitter because I had the Cardinals laying 6.5 last week. And I know we did as a team in the Ringer 107. And that was your classic backdoor, disgusting cover that's going to make you absolutely sick to your stomach. But this is a Cardinal team that, let's just peel back the layers. They beat New Orleans, whoop-de-doo. They beat Carolina, whoop-de-doo. And I know San Francisco just beat New Orleans last week, so you can say, JJ, hold on a second here. I'm not there with Arizona. I'm not there. I have them as overs. I liked them at the beginning of the year. The first 2 weeks, this is a show-me, prove-it game. Now, I'm not going to suggest that we throw this in Ringer 107. I'm not going to bet this game. I like a lot more games on the card in this particular week. If this pushback for me, it's, hey, Mac Jones now, what are you going to do the following week? Now, there's some uncertainty. Are we definitely going to see Mac Jones? Niners waiting to figure out what quarterback is going to look like. Barrett, it's not a great play for me. If I had to make a play on the game, though, I'd hold my nose, take the Niners. Because, again, it's either taking Mac Jones or a Cardinal team that I don't really like.
Yeah, I do like the Niners. My same hesitation with Mac Jones is why I was not convinced on this. But Mac Jones did look good last week, and as you guys alluded to, Arizona has not looked that impressive. I don't understand the no sort of chemistry between Marvin Harrison Jr. in year 2 with Kyler Murray. I don't know who that's on, if it's on Harrison or Murray. Last week, just 2 for 27 after 5 for 71 the prior week. I don't think, it's crazy looking at all the receivers that have been more productive from him than him, rather, in that class. And to Raheem's point, Connor's averaging 3.2 yards per carry. So the other thing that I'm looking at in this game is Kyle Shanahan is arguably the best guy in the NFL with those scripted plays. And if you look at the first quarter, it's over 7.5 points. So the Niners are at 7-6 in their first 2 quarters, and the Cardinals 10-3. And the one thing I can say about Mac Jones, and I'm not trying to defend Mac Jones' tenure in New England because I wouldn't do that, but in 2022, his defensive coordinator was Matt Patricia, and that's where the wheels came off for Mac Jones. When he actually had a legitimate offensive coordinator who's not in the same stratosphere as Kyle Shanahan, that was Josh McDaniels. And when Mac was playing those scripted plays to begin the game, those first 15, well, he was actually really good. He completed 78.7% of his passes and nearly a 99 passer rating. So Mac Jones, the one thing he can do is he can go out and execute the first 15 or so plays of the game. And if they stay ahead, Mac Jones is typically pretty good, especially when a guy like Kyle Shanahan makes those reads so much easier for Mac. I don't think it's out of the question that Mac Jones next year, somebody could say, hey, is he actually the guy that could be a quarterback again in this league? So I like that over 7.5. I just think that I feel like the Niners are at least going to score. If the Niners score a touchdown, then all you need is maybe a field goal from either one of those teams. So I like that over 7.5 in the first quarter. All right, let's get to this Denver Chargers game, which is obviously a massive game in the AFC West. Right now, that is, the Chargers are 2.5-point favorites. They've been one of the most impressive teams of the NFL. The total is 45.5 right now. JJ coming into the season, everybody was super high on Bo Nix and this Broncos team. Are they a team that, hey, could they maybe go to the Super Bowl? Well, they haven't looked that way. In fact, it's the Chargers that everybody was doubting coming into the season. They actually look like the other Super Bowl candidate in the AFC West, although the Chiefs don't look like that at all.
You're right about that, Brian. Listen, the Chargers have been awesome the first 2 weeks of the year. They had a tremendous win against the Chiefs in Brazil. Let's make sure we get that right. And then they go and grind out a game against Vegas where they were very good, basically from the second quarter till the end of the third quarter. And then there was a whole lot of playing with their food in the fourth quarter, and one of the weirder fourth quarters of football you're ever going to watch. Now, the disappointment for me with Denver over the first 2 weeks of the year has been their defense. Bo Nix, I thought, played a pretty sound game against the Indianapolis Colts last week. The Denver defense was not there. Did not play well against Daniel Jones. And if you even go back to week 1, there were a lot of drop passes by the Tennessee Titans that would have you shaking your head saying, hey, is this the top 5 unit that I expected to see going into the year? Now, I know the Chargers beat them twice last year. I know the Chargers have looked amazing. Everybody's got Herbert now, top 5 quarterback, MVP, I think this is a good buy low spot in the Denver Broncos. I do. I don't like the fact that Khalil Mack's not playing for the Chargers. I don't like the way the Chargers finished that game against the Vegas Raiders. I think the Broncos are going into LA and winning the game outright. Remember, LA's got no home field advantage. 0 home field advantage. I love Harbaugh. Herbert's playing great. Broncos, outright. I know Raheem does not like this because we've had some text exchanges, and he's now all in on the Chargers. Raheem, you're out on our Broncos.
Yeah, I'm out on the Broncos, particularly in this matchup. Look, you look at last year what the Chargers did to this Broncos team, and this was a Broncos defense which, everybody said was the best in the league. 23-16 in week 6, 34-27 in week 16. And now things have really, really, really gotten worse for this Broncos defense. I mean, we know that the Colts with Daniel Jones didn't punt. They did not punt in that game. So you look at the first game against the Tennessee Titans, that was a very winnable game for the Tennessee Titans with a rookie quarterback on the road in Mile High. You look at the Chargers, the changes that they've made to their offense this season, it's changed them for the better. Their first early down pass rate in the first half of the 2 games this season. If you look at their run pass ratio, they're 65% pass to run. So this is not the Harbaugh, Greg Roman offense of old. They're a team who is going to throw it on you. And you look at what they did to the Chiefs. It's just like, I think that said a lot more about the Chargers than it said anything about the Chiefs. And
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and then also I think the Chargers kind of played with their food against the Raiders. I think they were in control of that game the entire game. So even on a short week, I'm not downgrading them. I'm honestly upgrading them for what I saw from the first 2 games of the season. Like Ashton Genty wasn't able to do anything. So it's just that they're going to stop the run. And the thing I like about this defense is they don't allow big explosive plays downfield. Like Bo Nix is going to have to throw his way down the field methodically. And I don't know if he's going to be able to do that, even without Khalil Mack. Like I think Derwin James is obviously one of the best corners in the league. You look at Patrick Surtain, he's banged up coming into this matchup. So the Chargers proved last year with a worse version of Quentin Johnson, without Keenan Allen, without Omari and Hampton, that they could put up 23 to 30 points on this team. So what are they going to do this year when they're passing more? I mean, honestly, I wanted this for Ringer 107 because I think this is kind of a layup. I think 5 weeks from now, the Chargers are not going to be laying 2.5 to anybody.
Yeah, I'm with Raheem on this one. I think the Chargers cover, and if you want to parlay the Chargers to cover that 2.5 and Justin Herbert for 225 passing yards, you can get that at plus 180. I've been really disappointed in what we've seen from the Broncos. And I know, hey, you don't want to buy into the Chargers, right? But to Raheem's point, Greg Roman, maybe the biggest upset of the season is the fact that he said, you know what, let's throw the ball a lot. This dude has been obsessed with running his entire career. It's like, hey, you got one of the best passers of the NFL. Let's do it. And that Colts game, 473 yards. They're supposed to be one of the best defenses in the league, or the Broncos. Last week, they were 24th in EPA per play against and 27th in dropback EPA. Well, guess what? Herbert has a 56.3% success rate, the 3rd best, which means he can not only beat you down the field, he can beat you consistently, and he's actually thrown the ball down the field. This has always been a critique is, hey, he checks the ball down too much. This season, he's 5th in air yards. He's 2nd in passer rating. And Quentin Johnson, 18.8 yards per reception. He's got 150 yards. He has more receiving yards than Keenan Allen and McConkey. McConkey's third on the team and had a great rookie season. So it shows you they have more weapons than just McConkey, where it felt like every critical down last year, Herbert was trying to get it to McConkey. And this defense right now, unbelievable tackling team, allowing 4.6 yards per pass attempt. So even if you get a completion, you can't do anything after the catch. And Bo Nix right now, the biggest problem I have with him, he's averaging 5.5 yards per attempt, which is 28th out of 34 qualifiers. And here's the thing. He cannot improvise. He was good last year because the reads were there and his coach was really good. If you look at his numbers where he has 2.5 seconds or more, so that means it's on him, 4.7 yards per attempt, that is 34th of 34 qualifiers. In other words, last. And I think that Raheem mentioned the fraud alert earlier with the Eagles. I think this team is fraudulent. Playoff teams last year that they actually beat, they beat 2 of them. One was in week 3, Tampa. The other one was the Chiefs when they rested all their guys. They lost to the Steelers. They lost to the Chargers twice. They lost to Baltimore. They lost to Kansas City. So 5 of their 7 losses last year to playoff teams. I just think that this is a mediocre football team that, because their defense looked good last season and because their coach wanted to announce to the world that Bo Nix was the guy and he found him, everybody overrated this team in the offseason. That's how I feel on this team. I just think they were completely overhyped.
Out on the Broncos.
I'm totally out. And I think what's telling to me? You go on FanDuel Sportsbook right now. Bo Nix is minus 144 to throw an interception. He has 3 interceptions on the year. I don't want to say I guarantee it, but I think he's going to hit that. He's definitely throwing a pick this week. And I just think that Chargers defense is so good. Like I'm telling you, 4 or 5 weeks from now, 10 weeks from now, 8 weeks from now, whatever, we're going to be looking back and saying, I can't believe that the books let us lay 2.5 with the Chargers at home against this Broncos team. I think this is a bargain. This is stealing candy from a baby at this point.
Listen, I'll allow it. I don't like it. It's not a play I'm making. If I had to play it, I would take the Broncos. If you are that passionate, Raheem, about including it in the 107, I will allow it. I'm a team guy. I roll with the team. Barrett likes it. You love it. So when we do ring a 107, if that's a play you want, I'm gonna defer. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, look, we know NFL underdogs rarely cover anymore at this point in time for whatever reason.
Yeah, you guys, the only thing is this is not a great spot for the Chargers. They played on Monday. It's a division game. And the home field advantage for the Chargers means absolutely nothing. That's one thing you got to take into account. Denver is going to have 50 to 60% of that crowd. They will have everybody in that building. So be careful with that. That's all I'm saying.
But you know what, though? I think that's priced in. I think it's priced in the fact that there's no home field advantage. I think it's priced in the fact that it's a short week on a Monday night. After a Monday night, I think that's priced in. And the fact is, I would feel a little bit different about this if they were going on the road. If you told me it's a short week, you're going on a road, I would probably stay away. But it's a short week. They're at home. I mean, what's Las Vegas to – they played in Las Vegas. They didn't play on the East Coast. What's Las Vegas to L.A.? I mean, that's an hour-and-a-half flight, 4-hour drive.
Yeah, and it also didn't feel like they had to expend a lot of energy in that game. They basically had the Raiders start to finish. They made Geno Smith look really bad in that game. All right, let's take a break for the podcast and remind everybody to subscribe, share, all that to the Ringer Gambling Show. The Ringer Gambling Show is brought to you by FanDuel. Football fans, every NFL Thursday is your chance to hit the jackpot on FanDuel, because with FanDuel's Thursday touchdown jackpot, you can win a share of $2 million in bonus bets each week. To get in on this Thursday's action, all you have to do is place an anytime touchdown scorer bet before the game between the Dolphins and the Bills kicks off. And if your player scores the first or the last TD of the game, you'll win your bet plus a share of bonus bets. I really like James Cook in this one. I feel like Cook's going to have a huge game. So this Thursday, any play can be the play of the game with FanDuel. That's FanDuel.com/gamblers for your chance to win a share of $2 million in bonus bets. Play your game with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 plus and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in required. Must apply Profit Boost token on select market. Prize pool to be split equally among all eligible participants who made the correct first or last TD pick. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 21 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut.